At this point in time, we have one further public communication. Patty Klein would like to talk about our ad hoc rules.
Okay, just a quick comment. Since we went through a really serious process about changing the way that oral rules were done through the ad hoc committee, and people were pretty interested in that whole process, and I was very interested in that whole process. And I felt privileged to be able to help redesign an oral communications form. Well, I thought I'd follow up and see how that was going. So I received 16 oral communications forms here from the time that it was trialed through, I don't know, last month sometime. So there's 16 of them, and what I found was there were a couple here that were from utilities, which they wouldn't have a ward or any kind of follow-up since they spoke. So we throw that out. There were a couple of forms that were used with the old form, which all I could figure is that maybe these were printed online, because the online form is still the old form, and that's as of a couple weeks ago, or maybe last week when I checked. So it is not the new form online. So then I have these 12 forms here that are the new form. Not one of you guys filled out the the ward or the city council thing where it says action taken by council representative and a signature. 12 of them, zero of you guys filled it out. So I'm not sure why you included it in this when we did this form, and possibly maybe you're not getting them or something like that. But you know, my thought on that, as we discussed and when I came up here during those meetings, was that it was for you guys to show accountability, that you are communicating with the residents, and there's been this breakdown of communicating with residents, and this was just a little piece that you guys could, you know, kind of give back. So I don't know if you haven't received the forms, or I hope it's not that you just didn't care, and I'm hoping that maybe we can you can do these. I mean, I think it would be an opportunity for you guys, especially if you run for office again. You guys would have this to say, look at this, I've communicated with 16 different residents who came to spoke. That shows we care. On the flip side, when I've got 12 blank forms, it looks like you don't care. And when I did the form, I thought, oh, maybe they're just going to write talk to resident and sign it. And at this point, that would be an improvement if it said talk to resident. So something other than blank would be nice, and then update the form on the computer.
Patty, I got a quick question.
Yep.
Like, you'd filled out this form, you'd asked submitters requested to use the forms. So in your scenario, do you want the Ward 3C representative to contact you about tonight's discussion? And the same thing on the 12 forms, if they ask for requested action, that's one thing, but a blank form where they've not asked for any, they've just spoke about a subject and not asked for specific action is a different thing. And so I think we can improvement. I have no problem. Denise and my office, we can do that, communicate that to the, but again, it has to be a specific request or follow-up. You know, whether that's a phone call, an email, obviously can't be an email, can't be a phone call, because again, council requested that information isn't put on the form, so sometimes maybe that's the case. So
I think
just a lot of questions. I think it can be,
it's about
improvement can be made,
communication.
and I'd like to work with you.
If I could just
Yeah.
comment on that, it's about communication. Whether that happens here, and Beth says, I hear ya, she would be my council person. I would be fine with her saying, spoke with resident at meeting, you know, sign off. It's nothing you guys are required to do. There's no law that says you have to fill this out. And I understand that. It's really just about accountability. And if you sent an email, if you spoke with the resident, if, you know, whatever it was, you talked in the hallway after the meeting, you know, just spoke with resident would be something, and it would show some sort of effort to, you know, just have that accountability that we're building bridges and making relationships between residents and our city council representatives.
Mr. Palmer?
Yeah, I have not received one of those to fill out, and then I do believe there was one of my constituents didn't want any action taken on one of the times that he spoke. So that's all I've got.
That's okay.
Ms. Frisch?
So maybe that form, if nobody's getting them on this side of the room, maybe that would be a President Harrington to make sure you're distributing back over, since there was so much time taken to change the process of public comment.
If you'd like to stop at my desk on the way out the door, I'd be more than happy to hand you any of these that pertain to
They
you.
weren't my
or
ward, but I
anybody.
talk to people all the time. I'm just saying he said he didn't get anything. And I think everybody forgets what we pass in city council, right? We took all this time and all this effort from a ad hoc committee. And then you got constituent input and you embraced it. But
Me-
oh, well, you had plenty of comment during those discussions. But as council president, is that something that you can then send those to us, or you want to give the responsibility to Denise that we get them back and then maybe we post them somewhere in
Thank
the
you. We'll-
in the council site?
Like I told Ms. Klein, we're going to work on it and we'll let you know.
Oh, you're working on it, but it's
Yeah,
not
I
you.
said we
Okay,
will. I
gotcha,
didn't say I
gotcha.
am. I said we will. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you, Patty. All right, at this time, the